Imagine being trapped nearly 4 kilometers deep inside a cave. No sunlight, no food, no way out. Cold water slowly rising around you while the oxygen in the air begins to disappear. Now imagine being just 11 years old. In June of 2018, this nightmare became real for 12 young boys and their football coach in Thailand. What started as a fun adventure after soccer practice turned into one of the most dangerous rescue missions in modern history. Expert divers from around the world would risk their lives to save them. Millions of people watched in shock, hoping to see whether the boys would survive or disappear forever inside the mountain. And what rescuers discovered deep in the darkness shocked the entire world. This is the unbelievable true story of the Thai cave rescue.
But we begin this hour in Thailand, where a mission that seemed almost impossible has now been accomplished.
On June 23, 2018, the Wild Boars football team finished practice in northern Thailand. The boys were energetic, laughing, and excited for the weekend. After training, they decided to go exploring with their assistant coach inside Tam Luang Cave, one of the largest cave systems in the country. To them, it was just an adventure. The cave was popular among locals, especially young people. The boys parked their bicycles outside the entrance and walked inside carrying flashlights. Some brought snacks, others joked as they moved deeper underground. Nobody knew those few steps would change their lives forever. What they didn't realize was that Thailand's rainy season had already begun, and outside the cave, heavy rain started falling. At first, the boys didn't notice anything unusual. They kept walking deeper into the cave tunnels, exploring narrow passages and muddy chambers. But behind them, water levels were rising rapidly. Soon, floodwater completely blocked the entrance. The boys were trapped. When evening came and the children still hadn't returned home, parents became terrified. Families rushed toward the cave entrance and found the boys' bicycles and shoes abandoned outside. Rescue workers were called immediately. But there was a huge problem. The cave system was extremely dangerous even under normal conditions. Some tunnels were incredibly narrow, others twisted sharply underground, and now the entire cave was flooding with muddy rainwater. The search began immediately. Thai Navy SEALs entered the cave first, fighting powerful currents and near-zero visibility. Divers couldn't even see their own hands underwater. Thick mud turned the water black. Sharp rocks lined the narrow tunnels. Every meter inside the cave felt deadly. Yet still, there was no sign of the boys. Hours turned into days. Around the world, news channels began reporting the story. Millions of people followed the rescue effort online, hoping for good news. International cave diving experts arrived from countries like the United Kingdom, Australia, and the United States. Even experienced divers were shocked by the conditions inside the cave. Some sections were so tight that divers had to remove oxygen tanks from their backs just to squeeze through. Fast-moving floodwater pushed against them constantly. If a diver lost the guide rope inside the darkness, they could easily become lost forever. Yet rescuers kept searching, day after day. The biggest fear was becoming impossible to ignore. What if the boys were already dead? Inside the cave, the situation was getting worse. The boys and their coach had found a small elevated area above the floodwater. They were exhausted, hungry, and freezing cold. With almost no food, they survived by drinking water dripping from the cave walls. The coach tried to keep everyone calm. He encouraged the boys to meditate to conserve energy and avoid panic. In total darkness, with no idea if anyone was coming, they waited silently underground while floodwater surrounded them. 9 days passed. 9 days without sunlight. 9 days without proper food. Then finally, on July 2nd, 2018, something incredible happened. 2 British cave divers named Rick Stanton and John Valentin pushed farther into the cave than anyone else had managed before. As their flashlights moved across the darkness, they suddenly noticed shapes sitting on a muddy rock ledge. The boys were alive. The moment became one of the most emotional rescue discoveries ever captured on camera. One diver looked at the boys and asked, "How many of you are there?" A weak voice answered from the darkness, 13. The divers could hardly believe it. All 12 boys and their coach had survived. Around the world, people celebrated. Families cried with relief. News stations called it a miracle. But the real nightmare was only beginning. Finding the boys was one thing. Getting them out was another. The children were trapped nearly 4 kilometers inside the flooded cave. Some tunnels were fully underwater, and the boys didn't even know how to swim. To escape, they would need to travel through dangerous underwater passages in complete darkness. Even expert divers feared the mission could end in disaster. Rescuers debated every possible solution. Some suggested waiting months for the floodwater to disappear naturally. Others tried drilling through the mountain from above, but the monsoon rains continued getting worse. Then another terrifying problem appeared. The oxygen levels inside the cave were dropping. If rescuers waited too long, the boys could slowly suffocate underground. Time was running out. Finally, the rescue teams made a decision so dangerous that many believed it would never work. They would dive the boys out one by one. Each child would wear a full-face oxygen mask while expert divers guided them through the flooded tunnels. The journey would take hours. In some areas, the passages were so tight that rescuers could barely fit through themselves. It sounded almost impossible. Then, tragedy struck. During the operation, a former Thai Navy SEAL named Saman Kunan died while delivering oxygen tanks inside the cave. He ran out of air during the mission. The news shocked Thailand. If an experienced diver could die inside the cave, what chance did the boys have? Still, rescuers refused to quit. On July 8th, the final rescue operation began. One by one, the boys were carefully prepared for the dangerous journey. Divers attached oxygen masks tightly to each child's face and guided them into the freezing black water. The world watched anxiously. Hours passed. Then, suddenly, the first boy emerged alive from the cave entrance. Crowds outside erupted with cheers. Then another boy survived, and another, and another. For 3 straight days, divers repeated the terrifying mission again and again, risking their own lives every single trip. Finally, after 18 days trapped underground, the last boy and the coach were brought out safely. Against all odds, every single member of the team survived. The impossible had happened. The Thai cave rescue became one of the greatest survival and rescue stories in history. Thousands of people from different countries worked together to save 13 lives. Divers, doctors, engineers, soldiers, volunteers, and local villagers united for one mission. And somehow, in the middle of darkness, fear, and rising floodwater, hope survived. Even today, the story still feels unbelievable. 13 people trapped deep underground, 18 days in darkness, and one rescue mission that the world will never forget. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe for more unbelievable real-life survival stories and mysteries, because sometimes the most incredible stories are true.